Breaking news, XRP has officially broke down below this crucial support level on a multi-year time frame, and the bears rejoice. But XRP is about to do the unthinkable, and in this video we're going to cover exactly what you need to do right now. We're also going to cover some key developments and new concerns in the courtrooms that could potentially crush XRP, and how Brad Garlinghouse is responding with some choice words. We'll also be covering how markets generally respond to uncertainty during presidential election years and how that might affect XRP and crypto so you can prepare through November. As you can see on this chart, each of these white lines represents the months of May through November during presidential election years in the traditional financial markets and on the S&P 500 chart. And so we've gathered the data to show you exactly what typically happens during these months when people are uncertain about who's going to win in a presidential election. Finally, we'll be covering a few really unique on-chain indicators that can help you understand what's really going on with XRP beneath the surface. Then at the end of this video, I'll explain to you how I'll approach my XRP bags through this major support breakdown. So stay tuned to the end of the video. So does XRP have a chance of being supported here at the 43-cent level? As you can see here, I have a multi-year trend line coming back from April of 2017 up until present day. And this trend line has consistently been a major support line for XRP up until just this week when we broke down below 47 cents all the way down to 38 cents. But does XRP have a shot at coming right back down to that 18-cent level to the 20-cent level for its major range lows back in March of 2020 and then through obviously that lawsuit back in December of 2020? If that is possible, then this could potentially be the opportunity to have some lifetime buys. In other words, the buying that you would do here could potentially set you up to be a multimillionaire through the rest of your life. And ultimately, this would be such a good opportunity that I would find ways to get extra capital. But the question is this actually going to happen? Well, I think it could potentially happen if the lawsuit with Ripple starts to worsen. And here's what one lawyer has to say about that.
If Congress comes out with a bill tomorrow that says XRP itself is a security and any type of transaction in XRP is an investment contract, well, that just negates everything that happened going forward. It negates all the good going forward, and that would be a terrible disaster. They could also do the opposite and clarify everything, make it easier for other projects, give safe harbor provisions, clarify this is a unique technology that doesn't quite fit into completely the securities basket or the commodities basket. So that's why there's the new legislation. Congress can do all of those things. Is anything going to happen anytime soon? I don't think so. And now, if I were Ripple, I would still be involved in my lobbying efforts, but I'm not putting my foot on the gas for any reason, because now I've got that clarity and nobody else has it, or very few other actors have it. They have to still have the risk of saying they can feel better by saying everything that was good out of this ruling is how our company, our project, this token fits into it. But you don't have that full-on guarantee of a signed summary judgment order that Ripple now has, that XRP has.
And I think that's extremely important to note, that XRP has some level of clarity through an actual judgment in a court case that the majority of crypto companies do not have. And so that provides them some extra leeway and, I would argue, breathing room, right? When you look at the SEC, they're retroactively attacking different entities in the crypto space. Recently, they sued Consensus, which is the company behind MetaMask, and then that incurred some losses on some of the tokens that were involved with Ethereum, like Rocket Pool and Lido DAO. And so ultimately, Ripple is in a keen position to really win in a new regulatory environment. But that would require Congress to come up with some sort of a play-by-play, an action plan for crypto, right? And the reality is we simply do not have that now. So it's kind of like we're sitting in this middle ground, and ultimately, when you look at what Brad Garlinghouse has to say about this all, right, he's basically saying it's absolute nonsense coming from Gary Gensler. It's ridiculous that he's even in charge. He's going to lose Biden the election. So obviously some choice words from Brad Garlinghouse surrounding that. And then when you go to his profile, you can see right here, as many have noticed and some have already pointed out, there have been numerous misleading and some factually inaccurate headlines describing the decision made by a California judge yesterday in the class action lawsuit. And I think it's really important that we make a note of this right here to be absolutely clear, and I'll just go ahead and highlight that. This is a big win. All class action claims in the suit were dismissed, and absolutely nothing in this decision negates or changes the fact that XRP is in and of itself not a security. As for the single state law claim that will now be scheduled for trial, the sole plaintiff didn't buy XRP directly from Ripple and can't say if he even heard the statement before he traded, and only owned a couple hundred XRP. This was a clear example of the trolls that unsuccessfully tried to take advantage of the US legal system. Think about that. He's calling people who are attacking XRP trolls at this point. And so he's obviously not too happy about the situation and outcome. So the real question is, when will this come to a T and end? And right here, this is going back to Raspoli, the guy that we just saw in that video. He's basically stating that it could end earliest this Friday, and then later in July would be his personal prediction. However, Brad Garlinghouse is saying he expects the lawsuit to go until the end of summer and predicted a conclusion to be reached by August or September. So either way, we're coming to a T in this case. And if things were ruled against XRP, I do believe we'd have some lifetime buying opportunities at that, 20 to 30 cent mark would be far more realistic. So the fact that it has broke down doesn't necessarily mean it's going to continue breaking down, unless of course we get a very negative and bearish environment. Which brings me to Bitcoin. If you could see right here back in the highs of April of 2021 and then November of 2021, right, we had a bull trap. People were trapped into being bullish here only to see the market break back down and go to basically all-time lows for the market cycle. What used to be a support right here in May became a resistance. So now we are officially trending down. This low right here is lower than the previous low, and so this is officially a new downtrend. Even though we're in a longer term uptrend, we are officially in an intermediate term downtrend. And when I pull up something like the 20 EMA, you can see from the local bottom right down here in November of 2022, when we broke above it, we were actually supported at that 20 EMA on a weekly time frame and only had a false reading and a signal right back here in July, August, and into October of 2023 before we broke back above the 20 EMA and were supported there back here in April 29th of 2024. So this breakdown arguably looks very similar and eerily similar to what happened back here in August of 2023. In other words, if we started breaking back above the $61,000 level and we were supported right over here at the 20 EMA on a weekly time frame, then chances are XRP is also going to make a move to newer highs. But XRP likely won't do that with some level of uncertainty inside of this lawsuit, one, and two, if Bitcoin gets weaker, then it's likely that XRP won't be going anywhere anytime soon. So if things worsen, then when would I start to buy? Well, let's get into the election year, because this is an extremely important factor that we haven't had for almost 4 years. So here we have the S&P 500, and inside of each of these white lines, we have basically the end of May. And if I go to a monthly time frame, it'll probably be easier to see. But these right here would be the start of May to the start of November, and I'm tracking those periods in which the markets are responding to an uncertain environment when it comes to election year. Right at the end of the day, nobody knows who's going to win the election. We always have polling, but even the pollsters are shocked at some point in time. And so right here we have that period in 2016. We have the period in 2012. These were, this was Obama years. Now this was an anomaly with the Great Recession, but I've actually gathered this data back to 1928 and then specifically 1960. And I wanted to track, right, how much the market sees some volatility or a negative market environment. I went ahead and downloaded all of this data, crunched the numbers, and here we are. Going back to, Herbert Hoover in 1928 to present, or the last presidential election with Joe Biden. As you can see here, these are the major events of those times. We actually had 19 positive performing years and only 5 negative performing years, 2 back-to-back, but very weak on the JFK presidency, and then a really crazy anomaly at the start of Barack Obama with the global financial crisis and the housing bubble. When I did the performance, I found that the average positive performing year was at about an 8% gain from the months of May to the start of November. However, a negative performing year was about also a negative 8.79%. But if I get rid of this anomaly year, it's actually far less. In other words, it's still positive or better to be in the market over these months, or at least accumulate during these months, because on average we see positive performance in markets. And that would include crypto, even though cryptos like to tend to sell off. But when you really look at the chart on, let's say, Bitcoin right here, you can see that throughout these months we don't really see that much action, but it'd be better to hold and accumulate in a positive year. And in similar fashion, right through here, you had May, June through September. All of this was still a relatively weak but positive performance. So into a bull market and a new uptrend, it would be foolish not to accumulate. And that would actually be, similar when we look at something like XRP. So even though headlines might be screaming, run for the hills, and things are going to get worse, and nobody knows what's going to happen, and, sell in May and look away, right now might not be the best time to do that. So what should you do? We're going to look at one final piece or a couple pieces of on-chain analysis to get a better picture and then create a game plan for you. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over to sentiment. And on this tool right here, I'm going to look at a couple of different metrics. The first metric I'm going to look at, and this might look confusing, but don't you worry, we're going to keep it relatively straightforward and simple. This green line is the price of XRP. As you can see here, this is a very similar chart, something that you might be familiar with. We'll go ahead and increase the size of that. This would be the whale transaction count, or basically transaction counts that are of whales that are greater than 1 million USD. In other words, if I hover, let's say right here, you can look up to the top left. We had 63 whales transact at least $1 million or more. And so whenever this is increasing, it means whale activity is increasing. And that would make sense, right? Because when you look at that peak right there on the red, it also aligns with the peak on the green over there. And on the flip side, if whales are really capitulating, right, typically it would also mark major lows. Now, we're starting to see whale transaction counts consistently decline and decrease from, a high right here of 48 down to some lows of 5. In other words, only 5 whales transacted $1 million or more. But what I'm really after at this point is saying, okay, well, the price action and the trend is down. Whales are transacting at a lower range, but they're transacting, more amounts of XRP, but it looks like they're actually holding more stablecoins. Right here, this is the percent of stablecoin total supply held by whales with more than $5 million. So some of these whales are just, selling through this process, at least you would think so, and, accumulating all of these stable coins. Now, this high reading, and we'll go ahead and drag that further back, right, is actually the highest reading we've seen since before July 2023. If I drag this further back, you can see here that it is even higher than all of the major highs back in June, May, April, and arguably through the majority of this range all the way down to that bottom back here in January of 2022, right? And so right now we are at all-time highs of whales holding on to stablecoins. That's a positive sign for the entire crypto market, because what that means is now they have capital that's ready to deploy. So the question is, what are they actually doing with those stablecoins? I'm going to give you guys one last chart right here. Okay, right here, this yellow line, we'll start with the green line. That is the price of XRP. Over here we have whales, or people, or basically wallets that hold between 1 million to 100 million XRP. That is a boatload of XRP. And in other words, these would be what you consider an actual whale when it comes to holding XRP. Right here, I have 1 to 100,000 XRP wallets. And as you can see right here, this red line is basically retail investors. So retail investors were accumulating all through these major moves, and then they started capitulating and actually selling into these range highs right here, and they've remained relatively flat through the rest of the year, whereas whales have consistently been accumulating. So the question is, do they know something that we don't? In other words, if we're getting less whale transactions, but they've been accumulating and now they're sitting on more coins, it creates for nothing but a extremely positive environment. And if we get the XRP Ripple case to finally, right, be over sometime this month or next, and XRP gets a very positive ruling and an outlook from the courts and potentially Congress, then this would mark likely the local bottom. But either way, if it starts to dump just based on this news alone, then my game plan would be to accumulate and dollar cost average, and honestly make some lifetime potential buys from the 20-cent range down to the 18-cent range if we hit it. That doesn't mean it's going to hit it, which means since I don't know where the market's going to go, you don't know, I don't know, nobody actually knows, right? Except for maybe a few choice insiders. We have to play our best hand. And the way that I would do that is to accumulate into these ranges. And I'll tell you why. We've seen more support at these ranges than virtually anywhere else. We've actually traded more volume at the 18-cent range to the 20-cent range than we ever even did at the 10-cent range, which means it's going to be virtually impossible, even in a very nasty bear market or a recessionary environment, for XRP to break down below this 38-cent range down to like 20 cents. In other words, everything in here could be the, the potential lifetime buys that would make you a multi-millionaire, especially as XRP being one of the largest market cap players in the world from a crypto standpoint, with more interest, more searches, more volume, more excitement in terms of their partnerships than virtually all other cryptos except for like Bitcoin and Ethereum. This thing is very much primed on a positive outlook and an outcome and in a positive environment to make new all-time highs above that $3.31 range. So anything down here would be really good, and I would just dollar cost average it in, at a pretty consistent scale, whether it's weekly, monthly, whatever the case may be. But this right here, this breakdown is not enough to scare me out. And arguably, if the market climbed back above this range right here, right, and then was supported, then this right here would be the ultimate buy for the next major move to the upside. So if you enjoyed the video, go ahead and smash that subscribe button, like the video, let us know what you think is going to happen with XRP over the upcoming week and months. And if you want to learn how to do technical analysis like this, and not only that, but get access to some really cool premium products and promo type deals that we have here at the Bull Runners, it'll help the channel out, and vice versa. We'll give you all the value and teach you everything we know about crypto and markets. Then go ahead and click the link below, go to bullrunners.com. I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.